Yeah, it turns out that nagging feeling I had in the previous chapter turned out to be true. Is anybody surprised at this point? Hey guys, LunarSpawn27 here, bringing you Fairy Tail Chapter 371, Tartaros Arc Part 2, Song of the Heavenly Dragon. Considering what happens in this chapter, I don't get the title at all. So the chapter begins where we see the aftermath of the explosive Lacrima destroying the Fairy Tail Guild, and here's the first problem of the chapter. Now in Fairy Tail Chapter 368, Sayla gave Elfman that Lacrima, which is supposed to be 500 times stronger than Jupiter. She was obviously referring to the Jupiter cannon back in Phantom Lord arc. We've seen Phantom Lord use that cannon, but it was blocked by Erza. If it did hit Fairy Tail, not only would the guild be destroyed, but the surrounding area would be in one hit. And this explosive Lacrima is supposed to be 500 times stronger than that. And yet, the blast radius seems minor. You'd think that something that's 500 times powerful than Jupiter would not only destroy the guild, but also a couple of the town's buildings in the surrounding area. I mean, a way bigger blast radius for something that's supposed to be 500 times stronger than Jupiter. I'm just saying, it felt kind of minor. So anyway, with the Fairy Tail Guild destroyed, the townsfolk are wondering what was going on. Meanwhile, inside Cube, Franmouth, Kyouka, and Sayla observe the destruction. And with them being the new main villains, they go through one of the many cliches, this one being assuming that Fairy Tail is dead. Instead of, going down there and checking if there are no survivors at all. No, they just assume that they are dead. And with that, Kyouka says a speech about the time is nigh, humans will meet their destruction, new age for demonkind, all in the name of the world Zaref dreamt of, yada yada yada. However, they're interrupted by Franmouth, who's getting high volume magic readings. One of the soldiers enters and tells them that 3 shadows are heading towards Cube. However, according to Franmouth, the readings suggest many more. So, Sayla activates the Undercube display, which shows what is going on underneath Cube, and it turns out that those 3 shadows were the Exceeds. Okay, I have a question. How were they able to get out of Cube's line of sight without being detected until the moment Franmouth got those high volumes of magic readings? Unless they were concealed by the smoke, sure, but if they were flapping their wings, the smoke would obviously be blown away. Well, anyway, each of the Exceeds were carrying a deck of cards, and we get a flashback of what happened before the Lacrima exploded. It turns out it was all thanks to Cana that she managed to seal Elfman inside a card. Apparently she learned that from a dark-skinned hunk, which we all know who that is, Sho. So apparently Cana met Sho, and Sho taught her how to seal people into cards. So she can do that now. Wait, when did she even meet Sho? Was she aware that Sho happened to be Erza's childhood friend? Before the Lacrima was about to explode, she rushes upstairs and turns everybody into cards, gathers all the cards, and tells Happy, Charles, and Lily to get out of the explosion. So yeah, that explains how the Fairy Tail Guild and the Exceeds surviving from the explosion. That actually does make sense, and to be honest, it's the least bullshit explanation of how Fairy Tail got out of the explosion. And I actually thought that Cana wasn't going to be able to do anything because of Elfman, but you know what? I was wrong, and I gotta give kudos to Cana. I mean, she really came through in this chapter. So Kyouka orders the soldier to activate their defenses and deploy the gravitational field. Also to move the 1st Battalion to the front, rear, and the side cube because they cannot let them get to the top cube. So the gravitational field pulls the Exceeds underneath Cube, and I was actually wondering what happened to Cana. It turns out she also turned herself into a card. So she used her card magic to release everybody just in time too, because the 1st Battalion was heading towards the Exceeds. So now that the Fairy Tail Guild is free, they're finally going to start their counterattack against Tartaros. And it seems that Elfman was free from Sayla's order curse, and he feels incredibly guilty of what he did. Well, to be fair, he was under Sayla's control. He was being brainwashed. And Cana doesn't really hate him for that. She says, we're gonna save Mira and Lisanna, but first you need to stand on your own 2 feet. Meanwhile, back at the Demon Transformation Chambers, we see Lami again. who was wondering about the commotion going on outside, but she doesn't really care because all she wants to do now is to alter Mirajane's transformation into something ugly. And then she gets creepy again, saying things like, how does it feel to be filled with demon factor? From here on you'll be hideous. Hideous being reborn is hideous, isn't it? Horrible. She is enjoying the fact that Mirajane is going to turn into something hideous. Okay, fine, whatever. But to me, I still don't like Lamy. She's annoying as hell. I wish she'd just go away because she doesn't contribute to the plot whatsoever. So with Mirajane still in the chamber, she wakes up and manages to break out of the chamber, which if you think about it actually does make sense. Because of her Satan soul ability, she already possessed the demon factor that was used to turn the humans into demons. So now that she has even more of the demon factor, obviously this is going to give her a power up. Although I just hope that she gets some clothes on. Meanwhile with Kyouka, she decides to get Erza and use her as a hostage for dealing with the mages. But when she opens the chamber, Erza is gone. And all of a sudden, Lisanna and Natsu each grab onto Kyouka's arms. And don't worry guys, Natsu finally wore some pants so he's no longer naked. And Lisanna is also no longer naked because of her animal soul ability. Apparently that sword was quite convenient of destroying their chains, because not only did they manage to get free, they managed to get some clothes on, and they also managed to free Erza. And coincidentally, that sword that slid towards Natsu and Lisanna's jail cell was called a heat blade. So judging by the name, I'm assuming that it uses heat to melt the chains. Okay, whoever owned that sword obviously should be fired, because they should not have lost their sword like that. So what happened with Erza? She managed to equip into some clothes and has dealt with the frog eel thing, which I forgot its name, and she emerges from that hole carrying that thing over her shoulders, wielding a sword and saying, "Allow me to return the favor, won't you?" And that is where the chapter ends. So yeah, that is Fairy Tail chapter 371. What did I think? Well, there were some minor nitpicky things in this chapter. Despite that, this chapter was good overall. It seems that after chapter after chapter of Tartaros' winning streak, it seems that it's Fairy Tail's turn for a counterattack. All I can hope at this point is that Tartaros loses in the least bullshittiest way ever. And I know Tartaros is strong, so hopefully the upcoming fights will be really good. I just want genuinely really good fights of both teams going all out. That's all I ask for. And if Fairy Tail wins, fine. Whatever. I just hope that Tartaros loses in the least bullshittiest way possible. Now, how Fairy Tail survived from the explosion, I actually liked it because this was understandable. It made sense. I gotta give kudos to Cana. She really did pull through in this chapter. She was really good. Now, with Mirajane, again, it was also understandable why she was able to escape because of her Satan soul ability. And since she was injected with more of that demon factor, or devil factor, whatever you want to call it, she's gonna be even stronger with her Satan soul ability. Now, Natsu and Lisanna's escape, that sword was apparently strong enough to break the chains out of that sealing stone from their handcuffs. And coincidentally, this sword happens to be called a heat blade. I don't know if this thing can actually use heat, but considering the name, yeah, I'm gonna say it can use heat. Now with Erza, granted, this was kind of a badass moment for her, but here's what I don't understand. Her sensations of pain were tuned to be so incredibly sensitive thanks to Kyouka's curse. A single scratch would make her scream like crazy. So how is she able to stand up without, screaming or becoming overwhelmed by pain? Especially when she was tortured for probably hours by Kyouka. She was still able to stand. I mean, we've seen how exhausted she was from her torture, and now we see her standing on her own 2 feet like she's okay. How did she get healed? I mean, what about her sensations of pain? I'm just saying, what happened? Well, despite those nitpicky things, I thought, the beginning of part 2 of the Tartaros arc seems to be off to a pretty good start, and Erza is going to get some payback against Kyouka, which that is something I'm gonna look forward to seeing. So next week's chapter is called Breach, which will be Fairy Tail's counterattack against Tartaros. Also, the caption on the bottom says that the next chapter will be 27 pages. And there's going to be an important announcement and new information about the return of the Fairy Tail anime, which is coming out in the spring. Maybe that important announcement would be the new project that Hiromashima is going to do, because I did hear that Hiromashima is planning to make another manga series, so maybe that's going to be the announcement. Either that or maybe an announcement of a new upcoming arc, or this being the final arc, I don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see until next week. So yeah, that was Fairy Tail chapter 371. Tell me guys, what do you think of this week's chapter? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you looking forward to Fairy Tail's counterattack? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like it if you liked the video and subscribe to more videos. Also be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So yeah, that is Fairy Tail chapter 371. I'm Respawn27 and I will see you guys later. Bye. Wait, I just realized something. Loxus, Freed, Bixlow, Evergreen. Last time we saw them, they were still inside the guild. I hope they're with Polyurshka at this moment, and not still inside the guild. Also, I just realized that Loxus won't be participating in the fight. Boo!